Hello and welcome to the Site 43 ESE2 community meeting. This meeting is specifically about the new elementary school that is being built to relieve Laureate Park and Eagle Creek Elementary Schools. This is not about school reopening, it's specifically about this school project. This project is at the 100% design stage, which means that design has been completed, and it's also the construction kickoff. So we're right at the border between the completed design and the beginning of construction. This is board member Johanna Lopez's area, and so I'm going to hand things over to her for a few moments, and then I'll tell you who's on your panel today. Chris, if you don't mind advancing. Okay. Hang on, I think we've got, all right. Ms. Lopez, we can hear you now.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening, parents, students, and community members. Thank you for joining us tonight via Webex. This is a very difficult time for everyone with all the uncertainty, stress, and unprecedented situation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. If you've submitted your feedback or have reached out with questions, I wanted to thank you for your patience and understanding on the reopening schools topic the school board has discussed and deliberated during the last few board meetings. We are here tonight to discuss the 100% design phase and the construction plans for the Relief Elementary School opening in the Lake Nona area. Your well-deserved elementary school, Site 43 ESE2, that will open in 2021, impacts Laureate Park and Eagle Creek Elementary Schools. Both amazing schools. I know for sure your new school will create its own traditions, academic success, and environment for parental engagement. If you have specific questions about reopening schools, I invite you to participate in our bilingual town hall tomorrow via Webex, where we will be discussing and answering the public's questions on this topic. We will have a presentation for English speakers at 5 p.m. and for Spanish speakers at 6:45 p.m. Once again, thank you for coming and enjoy the presentation on the new Relief School. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you for everybody for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Johanna. And I did want to mention a few things to our attendees. You can't see each other, you can just see the panelists. So we actually have 60 people in the room right now, which I just want to say is amazing, because I believe the previous meeting that we had about this site attracted a lot fewer people. So I think that's really, really awesome. And if you like this format, please do give us that feedback, because this is something that we could do again. So Q&A is going to be how we're answering questions. I know this might be a little repetitive if you were on before, but if you're just coming on, the way you can participate in the meeting is by putting a question in the Q&A box. If that isn't up for you on the right-hand side, please press the button that has 3 dots, select that, more options, and open the Q&A. If you have technical problems, feel free to send a chat message to me, the host. But we are going to be taking the questions that way. I did want to also let you know that depending on how you're on, many of you, if you scroll to the left side of your screen, to the left of the words, you'll see a zoom in and zoom out button. And those actually will allow you to zoom in while this presentation is going on. If there's something that you want to look at more closely on the screen, you actually do have the ability to do that. And I think that's really neat. I also wanted to mention about board member Lopez's town hall tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will be putting out a link to the recording of this event, and I will also put out a link to the town hall. So if you have to leave early and aren't able to stay on for the entire presentation or Q&A, you can catch up with it later. So with that, I'd like to introduce some of the panelists that we have here who can essentially answer questions that you might have later. So board member Lopez is here and she can answer questions. The executive area director is Jenny Gibson. She's on. I know that we had some principals. I know Principal Workham and Principal McClough from Laureate Park and Eagle Creek were planning to come on. And I know that there were some APs coming too. So thank you for being part of this process. The architect for this project is Rhodes and Brito. From Rhodes and Brito, we have Byron Lestraps and Chris Kowalski. And Chris is going to be leading most of the presentation at the beginning here. So the civil engineer on this project, so he can answer a lot of site-related questions, that's Jay Klima with Klima Week. The construction manager for this project, the ones that are actually building it, is Pirtle Construction. And so from Pirtle, we have 4 people. We have Jason Krasunas, Richard Rodriguez, Kenny Martinez, and Jatin Amin. And you'll hear from them later. From our design team within our project management area, we have Mo Arthur and Michael Gallo. I am Lauren Ross. I oversee facilities communications for the district. We have Christopher Mills from facilities planning. It's going to be coming in a little bit later. And I do want to introduce you to Rob Stagliano. Rob, I'm going to unmute you for a second, and if you could just say hi so that your box will pop up. Oh, did we lose Rob? Okay, well, you guys will see Rob later, but the reason I wanted you guys to know who Rob is Rob is your project manager for this site. And what that means he does is he's the go-between between OCPS and the architect and the construction manager. So for any of you who will be part of this project for a long time, you'll get to know Rob. I also wanted to mention that Senior Facilities Executive Director Rory Salenbean is on tonight. Commissioner Jim Gray was going to see if he could make it. I'm not sure if he did. From OCPS Police, we have Commander Randy Durkee. From Transportation, we have Adam Zubritsky. From Fire, Health, and Safety, we have Richard Kirkham. And I believe Tanika Niesman and Georgina Pinedo from the City of Orlando were both also planning to dial in. So just to give you an idea of some of the people who are arrayed here to be able to answer all the questions you have. We are at your service, and you can go ahead and start asking questions in the Q&A. And at this point, I am going to turn over the presentation to Chris Kowalski. I think oh wait, no, I've got one more slide. I forgot about that. Okay, so there are always questions about zoning. So I was able to get this slide from our student enrollment department. This meeting is not about zoning, but I just wanted to show everybody how the process works. So we're actually pretty far along in the zoning process. It actually would have already been completed if it weren't for the coronavirus, because step 6, the rural development workshop, actually already happened once, but we're redoing it in September just to make sure that everybody gets a chance to have some input. So if you're interested in how this school is zoned, please do plan on coming out to the RBELC on September 15th at 4:30, or go on the student enrollment portion of the OCPS website and submit a comment. You can submit a comment there about the zoning lines and what you'd like to see. So with that, Chris, you can take it away. Oh, hang on, Chris, you're muted. There you go. Repeat that, Chris, please.
All right. Thank you. We're very happy to be here tonight for this community meeting. As Lauren mentioned, it's the 100% design, which means we're done with our part, and now we're going to be handing it over to the construction team to begin construction. So I'd like to go through some slides tonight, highlighting some of the site issues and some of our the features of our school building itself. I'm starting with the aerial just to give you an orientation of our site. North is up. You can see the airport over here on the top left corner of your screen. Our site is in the red circle, and it is a brand new site, never built on. And I also want to point out on the slide, there are 2 schools that are going to be benefiting the construction of this new school, and that is Eagle Creek Elementary and Laureate Park Elementary. And you see those schools in yellow, so you get an idea of the proximity to the new school. The next slide, we're zooming in a little bit more. You can see more context. The Central Florida Greenway is to the south, and the Lake Nona Boulevard is to the west of our site. Zooming in one more time, you can see more detail. And on this slide, I would like to point out two of the major residential areas contributing to our bikers and walkers to the site are the Village Walk gated community over to the east of our site, and the Lake Nona Watermark Apartments are just to the southeast of our site. Now I'd like to get into our site and how we are planning on developing the site. We did turn the site to the right, so now north is to the right-hand side, so I don't want you to get confused. Lake Nona Boulevard is over here to the, it's to the west, and Gateway Loop is over to the south of the school. So our school is prominently located right in the southern half of the site. The asterisk you see is the main entrance of the school. So the school is oriented towards Upper Gateway Loop. And then I would just want to point out some of the site development issues. We have our bus loop that comes right off of Lake Nona Boulevard. And there is a bus turning lane on Lake Nona Boulevard, so the buses will be out of the way of traffic. There will be 15 bus capacity in our bus loading area. Students will be getting off the buses into a covered canopy area, which leads right into the school. Moving down on Lake Nona Boulevard, there's a parent turning lane on Lake Nona Boulevard, so the parents will come onto the Gateway Loop, and the main entrance to the school, the parking and parent queuing, will be off of Upper Gateway Loop. The blue lines you're seeing are it's a double stacked line of cars that the parents will use. It winds through the site and will be able to accommodate approximately 163 cars on site, so there will be no cars backing up onto Upper Gateway Loop. Once again, the parents will be dropping off their kids in a covered canopy, so there'll be no issues with students impacted by inclement weather. The other driveway you see off of the site is the service drive, and this is only going to be used for kitchen staff and deliveries. Something else I want to point out, the bike riders and walkers will have two access points onto the site. The first one comes off of Lake Nona Boulevard, and it's this green line, so students will walk safely without crossing any driveways or bus lanes. They'll walk down along the bus lane into the covered canopy. There'll be a bike rack located for bikers, and then the students will enter the site from the covered play area. There will be a second bikers and walkers access to the site from the service. They won't have to cross the driveway, but they'll just come down along the service drive. There'll be another bike rack located for those bikers, and then access into the school. And finally, I want to point out some of the other site features. It will be a retention pond over in the northernmost part of the site. It will be completely fenced in, so there'll be no access or issues with students getting anywhere near the retention pond. The play fields, we have a tot lot for the younger grades, a youth lot for the upper grades, 2 basketball courts. There will be a covered play area, and also plenty of green space for your play fields. And finally, I want to point out, we are showing future expansion and this is where future portables would be located if necessary. There are no portables planned for the site when it opens up, so this is just for planning purposes that we show this. And now I want to take a look at the school itself. So this is a diagram of the school building. To orient you, this is the front door that we saw on the site plan. We have the dining multipurpose up in the front, as well as the admin area and the media center, all up in front. So all your public areas are up front. And then the areas colored in yellow are all your instructional areas. So this is all your classrooms and skills labs. This is a diagram of the second floor, and we mostly have instructional spaces on the second floor, so all classrooms. We have lower grades in kindergarten on the first floor and your upper grades on the second floor. Now I'd like to show you a series of photographs of some of the features that we have inside the school. So this is a typical classroom. In this photograph, you can see we have storage cubbies for backpacks for the students. Marker boards and tack boards will be located throughout the classroom. And I wanted to point out in the upper right corner, you're seeing a photograph of a interactive flat panel. So this is the main instructional tool that the teachers will be using to teach from. Another tool that they have to work with is a audio enhancement system. So these are speakers in the ceiling. The teacher will have an option of wearing a microphone, and so her voice will be easier distributed and heard by the students. This slide highlights some of the technology in the school. So you saw the interactive flat panel in the previous slide, so I want to point out they are also located in these pictures. In the top left and the bottom right corner, you're seeing the interactive flat panels. The top right photograph is of the CCTV studio, so this is located in the media center. And then the bottom left corner is a skills lab, so this is a photograph of the computer lab. This photograph is of the media center, and this showcases some of the equipment and furnishings that you'll find in the media center. So we have both soft and hard furniture. There'll be a storytelling area. There'll be group classroom areas. There'll be 2 located in the media center. So we're seeing some more technology, interactive flat panels again. This is a photograph of the dining and multi-purpose room. So in the upper right corner, you're seeing the stage. It's a raised stage. There will be a projection screen, so this is where all your presentations and performances will be. We have the 2 serving lines, and then off of the dining, we also have a teacher dining and restrooms. This is a photograph of some of our specialty classrooms. What you're seeing in this photograph is the music room. So we have the music room, the science room, and an art room with a kiln. Again, you'll see the interactive flat panels in all of these rooms as well. This is a slide of the front entry. So we will have a secured single point of entry into the school. No other exits will be open during the day. You can get out, but you can't get in except for this front main entrance. So guests will come in through the, they'll be buzzed in through this door on the side, and then they'll be inside the reception area. And the reception area has access to the admin suite, to the clinic, and the conference room, and a teacher planning area. And this door you're seeing here will also be locked, and so anyone that has any further business out into the main part of the school will also need to be buzzed out. So it's a very conscious effort to keep this process very secure. This slide highlights some of our play equipment. What you're seeing a photograph of is the tot lot, which is the younger kids. Now, what you're not seeing in this photograph, we do have now added a shade structure over this, so helps reduce some of the direct sunlight on this. As mentioned in the site plan, we have basketball courts, the covered play area, the green field play areas. Also off of the covered play area, we have PE storage, PE office, and restrooms. This photograph is an example of the canopies that I talked about when we were looking at the site plan. It's a aluminum canopy. This one you're looking at is from our Englewood Elementary School, which is a similar school. So you could just get an idea of what the covered access will be for both the bus drop-off and the parent drop-off. This is a list of some of the similar schools utilizing our prototype. The most recent ones will be opening this fall, and those are the 2020 schools. And I point this out because we have the Vista Point Elementary School, which is probably the closest to your area, and that is located on Goldenrod, near Goldenrod and Hoffner, if you're interested in taking a drive-by to kind of get a preview of what that looks like. This slide is a perspective view of the school. So we have our parent loop off to the side. The main entrance to the school is right in the middle of the photograph. And then we have our dining and media flanking the admin area in the middle. This is another rendering of the school. So once again, the main entrance of the school is in the middle, the dining, media center, and admin. We incorporated some sustainability concepts in the school, such as high efficiency mechanical equipment, low volume plumbing fixtures, water tolerant landscaping, and things like that. So we did take a look at that and incorporated high efficiency where we could. Now I'd like to turn over the remaining part of the presentation to our construction team. This is Pirtle Construction, and they will go through some of the schedules and other construction-related issues.
Good evening, everyone. As Lauren mentioned, Pirtle Construction is bringing 4 team members here. My name is Richard Rodriguez. I'm the Vice President for the Central Florida office, and with me I have Jason Krasunas, who's a Senior Project Manager and has experience in building this prototype previously. Jatin Amin, who is our Project Manager, who'll be on site today, and Kenny Martinez, who is our Project Superintendent, who will also be working on site every day. Jason?
Yes, thank you, Richard. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Richard mentioned, I'm the Senior Project Manager for this project, and I do have experience in working on this prototype with Rhodes and Brito, previously on the Molly Ray Elementary School project. Just wanted to give you a brief history of Pirtle Construction, had you not heard of us previously. Our first project was a little over 10 years ago here with Orange County Public Schools, with the Sessions Middle School and Elementary School projects collectively. And since then, over the past of those 10 years, we've completed 12 such projects here in Orange County Public Schools, and we're very excited to be working with Rhodes and Brito and Orange County Public Schools again on the Site 43 Elementary School project. And we want to ensure everyone in the neighboring communities of Village Walk and Waters Mark apartment homes, as Chris mentioned earlier, of the sensitivity as it relates to how close those neighboring communities are, and that we are not focused on the construction of this project, but we are more focused on making sure that we maintain a good neighbor policy throughout construction to ensure that at the end of the job, you recall and you remember how good Pirtle Construction was working alongside the district in creating such a great environment and school for the Lake Nona area. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jatin Amin, the project manager for the project, to give you a little bit more detail on the construction schedule.
Thank you, Jason. So this is a typical Orange County school project that starts in a summer and gets turned over the next summer. Having, keeping that schedule in mind, we have broken out our activities. But, rather than boring you with all the activities, I'm going to talk about all the major items that we'll be doing during the course of the construction. As of now, we are doing all the clearing and grubbing, and what that means for you guys is, you will see some construction equipment rolling into the site. Subsequently to that, we will be doing our footing and foundations and the superstructure. That means 2 concrete trucks and a crane. You will be seeing, all these things coming out of the ground probably by September, October. And by November, December, we're looking to finish the roof and the superstructure and get inside the building by January. When we do that, on the outside, we'll also be working on a lot of asphalt and site work related stuff. So you will be still seeing a lot of construction equipment moving about on the outside. Probably by March and April, we will look to wrap everything up with finishing everything and just to get out by May. And we get it that this is going to be a little bit of an inconvenience, but we are, as Jason said, very excited about this school project. We've been doing this for a long time. We know what we're doing, and we are really sensitive to the neighbors. And we're going to try our level best to make sure that this is impacting your lives and your daily routine the least possible. And having said that, now I'm going to bring in my colleague, our site superintendent, Kenny Martinez, and he'll be talking a little bit about what the actual construction site is going to be looking like.
So hello, everybody. My name's Ken Martinez. I'm going to be the site superintendent. Basically, what we have is we have a large site that's going to need a lot of import. Got about 114,000 cubic yards of dirt that's going to be brought in onto the site. Those of you who live in the area and have been by the site recently have seen we've already started our import and clearing operation. So we're going to have about 5,200 trucks roughly coming in and out, and obviously safety is a key focus for us in keeping a good relationship with the community, as Jason had mentioned previously. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part to keep the roadways clear, keep the roadways clean. Whether we need to bring in the local Orlando Police Department to help out with the safety measures and keeping the truck from speeding. So we're going to do our part to make sure that we do that. Also, keeping the streets clean. So what we're going to do is we'll have some stabilized areas on our construction entrance so that we can reduce the amount of dirt that we track back out onto the roadways. We also are going to have street sweepers on a daily basis and utilize some other measures to try and make sure we keep the neighborhood clean as well as safe. So what you're going to end up seeing over the next couple months, like I said, obviously you're going to have a lot of import to bring the building pad, the site up to the grade. Then we're going to have a lot of concrete work going on. You'll hear a bunch of noise. You may not see a lot of activity until we start to scan the building. So in about 3 months' time, you're going to see a building pop up out of the ground. And then, like Jatine had mentioned, we'll be putting the roof on that. So get into the inside of the building, continue our finishes on the inside. And in late spring, we'll have a pretty close to a complete project and start doing our punch work, getting ready to turn that over to OCPS.
Okay, so we're entering the questions and answers portion of our meeting. Chris, if you don't mind advancing the slide one more, I want to just show people how to ask questions again. Okay, so we have gotten some questions in, and I will read those in a moment, but this is how you ask a question. So let me read what we've got so far. We had the question, is the new zoning map available? There are proposed versions on the student enrollment webpage for OCPS. You can get to that by going to facilities.ocps.net and click on New School Zones. And then you can click on Current Rezonings and choose this project, and you'll see the 2 proposed zones for this school. Those are the ones that will be considered in September. We had a question on registration information for the Webex tomorrow. It's kind of a long link. So if you want it, you can go ahead and message me, or you can just wait till tomorrow because I will be sending it out to everybody who signed up for this meeting. Okay, and there's a question, how do you plan on diverting traffic off of Lake Nona Boulevard for the school car line? The answer is the improvements for the school include the cars entering Lake Nona Gateway Road, which connects to Gateway Loop. The loop will be modified to be one-way counterclockwise. A new left turn lane will be constructed on Lake Nona Boulevard. Chris, do you mind bringing up the site plan, if you could, so that we can see what that's referring to, and maybe you could point out that turn lane and that pattern. Okay, so I'll just read that again. That cars are going to enter Lake Nona Gateway Road, which connects to Gateway Loop. So yeah, I think that's a little to your right where that first arrow goes in. Yeah, the cursor is being a little jumpy on us here, but if you see that little arrow right near where the laser pointer is, that's the entry point, and you can see kind of the racetrack going from there. That's where cars are going to stack up for both pickup and drop off. So the idea is to keep as many of them off the road as possible. And then the loop is going to be modified to be one way, okay? And then the left turn lane should also help alleviate some of the traffic from the school. We were asked for a physical address for the school, and let me see if I've got it. Oh, I just got it. It's 12253 Lake Nona Gateway Road in Orlando. Who's the landscape architect? Bonnet Design Group from Maitland. And now there's a question of, will there be a 15 to 20 mile per hour school zone on Lake Nona Boulevard? I can't speak to that. I know that we have some folks from the city, or if there's someone on our team, if you've worked on that, if you could unmute yourself. I don't know if Mo might know, or
Hey Lauren, this is Jay.
Hey Jay.
So as of right now, what we'll be doing out there on Lake Nona Boulevard, there will be the typical school zone signage, but there's not any specific reduction in the speed that's been identified so far. We are still in the review process with the city. So that may be something that comes forward, but as of right now, it's just going to be a typical speed, school zone.
And I would add that sometimes you'll find that zones that aren't designated when a school opens might be added later. We've definitely had that where there wasn't traffic before the school was built, but that as soon as it opened, it became justified. So that's something we'd be watching out for too. Question, with the current coronavirus pandemic, is the issue of installing additional sanitation stations been considered and planned for? Okay, interesting question. I always figure somebody's going to answer that. Somebody's going to ask that. So what I can tell you is that even though this school isn't opening till 2021, and we don't know what the situation is going to look like then, we have looked at making some changes to our design guidelines, which govern how we build every school that we build. So we've started to put plexiglass in all of the front office areas so that the front office staff have a shield. We've also started looking at some changes that can be made, particularly in the bathrooms area, because bathrooms are very high touch. And so if you've been to a high school or middle school where they don't touch the door, they kind of go around the corner to get into the bathroom. We're looking at whether that might be able to be expanded, and also looking at how else we can reduce touching in the bathroom. So having, water that comes on when you put your hands under it, and, having that automatic soap dispenser too. There's some pros and cons to that, some costs, but it might be a way that we can reduce the amount of touch in bathrooms. And so those ideas are still being developed, but yes. Okay. What is the anticipated noise for the residents of the VW? there someone who could address the noise?
Yeah, I can. The one thing that we have to do is follow the local ordinances of starting at 7 and ending at whatever, whatever given time. So what we'll do is that we have to, at certain times during the course of building the structure, as Jatin told you, there'll be a lot of concrete trucks. So what we'll do is we'll send out a notification to the community to let you know that on this date, as we all know, concrete, you pour concrete at night simply because during the day, it's just not conducive for us to try to manage that amount of concrete with large pours. So we try to pour as much as possible, but the neighborhood will be notified. On top of that, what we do is that we try to work with the contractors to make sure that we don't point the lights the direction of the neighborhoods, and that we minimize how we're going to back up so that we could limit backup alarms.
Okay, thank you, Richard. There's a question, will there be additional new technology added to this school? Dr. Gibson, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this school will be opening with one-to-one digital devices, plus all the interactive whiteboards in all of the classrooms. It'll have that audio enhancement that was mentioned, so the teacher can speak through a speaker worn around his or her neck and be heard throughout the classroom through speakers on the ceiling. There's also in the elementary schools like a speaker ball that sometimes kids can hand around. There actually is some really neat stuff that goes into our schools, if anyone wants to add anything else. Doesn't look like, if anyone is trying to answer, don't forget to unmute yourself on the panel. And it looks like we're getting oh, I think she just answered it. Okay. Okay, principal will have the opportunity to look at additional tools for the school also. Okay. Will the playgrounds have sunshades, or is that something the school would have to fundraise for? So the tot lot is automatically built with a sunshade. So that's the playground for the littlest kids. And you can see it's being circled on the screen right now, the tot lot. The youth lot to the right of that, where the older kids would play, they do not come with sunshades automatically. And so if that's something the school would want, that would be additional fundraising. But we do universally put sunshades on tot lots now. If you guys have been with OCPS, any of you, for a number of years, you'll know that the tot lot sunshades are something that is relatively new. And that is something that came out of this process, and board members actually brought it to each other and decided to add it. So see if there are any questions I've missed. Keep the questions coming if you have more. I'm not seeing any new ones that I haven't addressed so far. Other panelists, if there are any that I scrolled by and missed, feel free to jump on in. I think I might have gotten them all. Why don't we just give it a few more minutes if anyone else wants to put a question out. In case anybody's typing. Johanna, is there anything you would want to say in closing?
I am very excited about this will be construction. I can hear my echo. Because, Laureate Park Elementary School and Eagle Creek Elementary School, I visited both schools. They both are amazing. The community is very engaged in both schools. So I know that this school is going to be very, very good, great. And I think that they deserve, this new building. They deserve, it's overpopulated, so we need to help them, and I know this is going to be great as well. So I am very excited, looking forward to visit the other school.
Okay, and two more questions did come in. So there was a question if there are going to be sidewalks added to the same side of the street as the school so that the children from VW won't have to cross. And then there was another question asking where bicyclists will come in. So Chris, you've got the cursor, right? Do you want to show us those? They're asking the entrance for village bicycle riders.
So the green lines and arrows are where our bike riders and walkers come into the site. So those walking along Lake Nona Boulevard will come in and down into the site on the Lake Nona side. And then those walkers coming from the apartment complex will come in along the service drive and then into the school. And there'll be bike racks located at 2 locations to accommodate bikes.
Okay.
So point out the provision for the connection that goes to the east, the sidewalk.
We did build a sidewalk that will be constructed from the sidewalk to our property line, and there will be a gate located right here.
Okay, and that's going to require some work with our partners to see if it'll be opened on the other side, but we are building it. Okay, Dr. Gibson, I don't know if you have audio, but there is a question about ESE, whether there will be any special settings, whether this is going to be a center school, and it says ASD is needed.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So what will happen is once the students who are zoned for the school are identified, the IEP, all the IEPs will be read, and students who have special accommodations, those adaptations, they'll be identified, and each classroom will be set up for those adaptations so that students will have the necessary adaptations for their IEP so that they can get around the classroom. Their needs can be met, whether that is for their day-to-day needs, so that they too will have everything they need to have a successful day at school. Please let me know if that answered your question.
And Dr. Gibson, do you know yet if this is going to be a center school?
I do not know that at this point in time. We still have to look at all the zoning. Lake Nona, I know that Eagle Creek is, and Laureate Park does have some, but Eagle Creek predominantly does at this time. What will happen is the Exceptional Education Office is going to look at all the numbers first before they determine.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful. So if that was your question, please do stay tuned throughout this process. This is not the last meeting we'll have. The next meeting we will have is actually going to be at the 40% construction part. So if you heard what Kenny said about walls popping up, like that literally will happen. They will be pouring the concrete on the ground, and then one day you'll drive by and there will just be walls up. It's really quite cool. And after the wall's up and the roof's starting to go on, we're going to have another meeting and show you pictures of the progress and the inside. There's another question. Will the students be able to use the gate on the side of the Village Walk community instead of walking out on Lake Nona Boulevard? There's currently a small gate in the perimeter wall of Village Walk that faces the school property. Jay answered yes, the school is extending a sidewalk to the east property line where the existing gate in the wall is located. Yeah, so we were building a place where it would connect. Okay, now if you didn't ask a question and you think of a question as soon as this ends, please do feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me. My email is Lauren, lauren.roth@ocps.net. You can also reach out to Rob Stagliano, robert.stagliano@ocps.net. And one more question did come in. Will the new principal be working with Eagle Creek and Laureate Park? And they said some really awesome stuff about the two schools, which I totally agree with. And yes, absolutely. The new principal will definitely, be reaching out to their colleagues. It doesn't necessarily mean that the programs would be exactly the same, but the new principals do work with the schools where their students will be coming from. In fact, their temporary offices are sometimes even in those neighboring schools for a short while. Okay, let me just see. Oh, was that another one? I think that's it. All right. I think I've covered all the questions. So again, if we missed you or there's anything you think of later, go ahead and reach out. That's totally fine. This presentation, the slides themselves are already posted at facilities.ocps.net. They're going to be posted on Board Member Lopez's page. I will be sending out an email tomorrow with a link to the video for this and information on how to sign up for Ms. Lopez's town hall tomorrow. So thank you all very much for coming. If you liked this format, please do let us know, let Ms. Lopez know, and we'll see if that's something we can do again. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.